The rap game has completely flipped since the old school era. Now, the legends themselves are speaking out about how it's changed. From Snoop Dogg calling out rappers hiding behind auto-tune,
harmony, melodies, that don't even matter no more. It's just auto-tune.
To Dr. Dre voicing frustration over albums packed with too many producers working on one project.
It's like, I don't like the fact that there's like 9 different producers on one album.
And Andre 3000 boldly saying that today's rappers have lost all sense of creativity.
A lot of artists sound the same because you can quickly jump on a mic.
This is what the rap icons really think about the state of hip-hop today. Let's start with Dr. Dre, the man who turned West Coast rap into a billion-dollar empire and shaped the DNA of modern rap music itself. Dre, the genius behind NWA, revolutionized sound in the late 1980s, redefining what rap could be with The Chronic in 1992 and Dogger Style in 1993. As the mastermind behind Death Row Records, Aftermath Entertainment, and Beats by Dre, his signature bass-heavy production created an era when craftsmanship mattered just as much as lyrical skill. But these days, Dre's perspective has shifted. In a 2023 interview with Kevin Hart, he admitted that while hip-hop is naturally evolving, he no longer connects with most of what's out there. It's not about hating. The music just doesn't move him anymore. By late 2024, his tone was sharper. Speaking to Complex Magazine, Dre said today's hip-hop doesn't inspire him at all. He hasn't heard a single track that makes him wish he produced it, something that used to happen constantly back in the day. What frustrates him most is how albums are made now. When Dre created The Chronic, he built everything himself, crafting one complete sonic experience. Now, albums feature too many producers, and to him, that kills the vibe and flow. He voiced this same frustration in an October 2024 sit-down with Snoop Dogg, explaining that computers and the internet completely changed how music gets made.
The collaborator, it's like, I don't like the fact that there's like 9 different producers on one album. I like the idea of one producer on one album. The continuity is everything.
Yeah, where did that come from? Where did it come from where you got cats that want to be with 9 different producers on one album and stuff like that? When the hell did that start?
I don't know. I don't know, but I don't like it.
Dr. Dre believes technology has made it far too easy for anyone to grab a beat online and start rapping without real craftsmanship. In his eyes, much of today's music lacks musicianship, with producers recycling the same 808s and predictable patterns. For a man who spent endless nights layering live instruments and sculpting intricate soundscapes, watching hip-hop turn into a copy-and-paste culture feels like a betrayal of everything he stood for. Dre's frustration with fragmented production and albums built by committees runs deep. But this next legend's concern cuts even further, into the heart of creativity itself. Snoop Dogg, Calvin Broadus Jr., better known as Snoop, rose to fame in the early 1990s with a laid-back style that contrasted NWA's aggression. His debut Dogger Style became an instant classic, turning him into a global icon. Over 3 decades, he's built an empire spanning cannabis, television, and even NFL commentary. Yet behind the success, Snoop worries about where hip-hop is heading, and is not staying silent about it. His biggest issue? The lack of originality. Everyone sounds the same. During his October 2024 conversation with Dr. Dre, Snoop gave advice that doubled as a warning to young artists: be original, even if it takes longer to blow up. He's tired of seeing clones chasing trends, copying whoever's hot at the moment. Snoop says hip-hop's priorities have flipped. Back then, artists cared about creativity, about chords, harmonies, and melody. Now, that passion for the craft seems to be gone.
It used to be about creativity and understanding of musicianship, harmony, melodies, that don't even matter no more. It's just auto-tune. I want to sound like him. I want to say what she said, but I want to, do the same thing just in my own way as opposed to let me be original.
What really frustrates Snoop Dogg is how today's artists handle sampling. He's a master at flipping old records into something fresh, always respecting the source. But modern rappers, he says, take classics and mess them up completely. When Snoop and his peers sampled, it was about paying homage, elevating the original, not exploiting it. Those flips often reignited interest in forgotten songs, even putting money back in the pockets of the legends who made them. Now, it feels like people are just lifting the best parts of great tracks without adding meaning or creativity, disrespecting the pioneers who built the foundation of hip-hop. Snoop's frustration with copycatting and careless sampling exposes the surface of a deeper issue, one that this next legend understands better than anyone. Andre 3000. The creative force behind Outkast transformed Southern rap in the 1990s and 2000s with groundbreaking albums like A.T. Lin's, Aquemini, and Speakerboxxx The Love Below. His wild imagination fused funk, soul, and surreal lyricism, earning him 6 Grammys and a place in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Today, at 49, Andre has stepped away from rap, spending his days playing the flute and exploring new sounds, like his 2023 experimental album New Blue Sunday. But his thoughts on modern hip-hop cut deeper than most active rappers' opinions. In 2024, He explained what's really wrong. Artists don't have time to discover who they are anymore. In a July 2024 episode of The Shop, Andre broke it down. Everything moves too fast now. Social media, streaming, and the pressure to constantly drop music have stripped away the space for self-discovery. And without time to grow, everyone ends up sounding the same.
And that's one thing now, I don't think artists have time to cultivate themselves. So a lot of artists sound the same because you can quickly jump on a microphone. But it's awesome because you get an immediacy, but you don't get time to hone who you are.
Andre explained that when he and Big Boy first formed Outkast, they sounded just like everyone else they admired. If they had dropped music immediately, nobody would remember them today. Instead, they spent years grinding in Atlanta's Dungeon Family Collective, experimenting, refining, and discovering who they were. That kind of slow artistic evolution doesn't exist anymore. To prove his point, Andre mentioned Future and 2 Chainz. Even those megastars needed time to become themselves. Early recordings of Future sound like a totally different artist, more traditional, less melodic. And 2 Chainz, back when he was Chitty Boy, had to reinvent his entire style through years of trial and error before breaking out. But now, with TikTok and SoundCloud, artists can explode overnight without ever figuring out who they are. They copy whatever's trending and stay trapped in that sound. Andre's point about lost development time exposes a systemic problem in modern hip-hop. But the next legend goes deeper, addressing how the culture itself lost its soul. Common. Lonnie Rashid Lynn Jr., better known as Common, emerged from Chicago's conscious rap scene in the early 1990s. His albums Resurrection and Like Water for Chocolate blended jazz textures with reflections on life, struggle, and society. A 3-time Grammy winner, Oscar-nominated actor, and lifelong activist, Common represents the thoughtful, poetic side of hip-hop, the kind that values purpose over popularity. At 53, he reunited with producer Pete Rock in 2024 for the Auditorium Volume 1, earning Grammy nominations and reigniting nostalgia for the golden age. Throughout 2024, Common voiced his disappointment with where rap is heading. He believes the genre has grown too scattered, too focused on clout and shock value instead of message and meaning. He often reflects on a time when hip-hop was about consciousness, community, and truth.
80s hip-hop and early 90s hip-hop was really conscious in certain ways.
In a July 2024 NPR interview with Pete Rock, Common explained that hip-hop today is both powerful and fractured. He said the culture feels alive, but splintered into too many lanes and micro-scenes. In some ways that diversity is beautiful, but it's also dividing what once united generations. Back in the 1990s, rap connected people through storytelling and shared experience. Now, music is engineered for niches and algorithms, tailored to short attention spans instead of timeless emotion. What frustrates Common most is the loss of authenticity. He talked about how modern hip-hop is flooded with digital personas, artists creating characters for Instagram and TikTok instead of showing who they really are. For him, lyricism has always been the line between greatness and mediocrity, and Pete Rock's production once gave real MCS the canvas to shine. But now shock value outweighs substance, and gimmicks drown out truth. He praised Kendrick Lamar for staying genuine and using his voice for meaning, but wished more artists followed that lead instead of chasing viral fame. Common's warning about image replacing honesty cuts deep. Yet the next legend takes it further, pointing to one fatal flaw that he believes shattered hip-hop's very foundation. Pete Rock. Peter Phillips, the Bronx-born producer whose soulful horn loops and crisp drums defined East Coast hip-hop's golden age. As one half of Pete Rock and CL Smooth, he crafted classics like They Reminisce Over You, Why, a tribute that turned grief into grace. He's produced for Nas, A Tribe Called Quest, and countless icons across 3 decades. Now 55, his 2024 collaboration with Common earned Grammy nods and reminded the world of his timeless sound, but also gave him a stage to vent his anger at what hip-hop has become. His criticism is simple but devastating. Greed killed the culture. What once stood for creativity and community has been replaced by clout and cash. Throughout 2024, Pete made that frustration clear, in interviews, on stage, and across his social media.
Pete Rock said chasing money ruined hip-hop. And in the comments on the website, on Instagram, on Facebook, where this article was posted, shout out to Hip Hop DX, who I'm getting this article from.
In early January 2024, during hip-hop's 50th anniversary celebration, Pete Rock unleashed a passionate rant on Instagram about how far the culture has fallen. He said that chasing the bag, slang for quick money, became hip-hop's biggest downfall, a mindset that traded art for profit. For a man who built his legacy in dusty basements, crate digging for vinyl samples, this shift doesn't feel like progress. It feels like watching something sacred crumble. Pete wrote that hip-hop is being pile-driven straight into the ground. He and his peers built history brick by brick, but now, he says, people aren't building anything real. Not history, not hip-hop. He also called out how fragile the culture has become. saying that the moment you speak truth, people brand you a hater instead of hearing your message. By September 2024, after his Grammy-nominated album with Common dropped, Pete kept spreading that same warning across radio shows and podcasts. He sees glimmers of hope in younger fans craving authenticity, but believes the soul has to return to the sound, not just the streams. Pete Rock's take that money-poisoned hip-hop's heart is haunting, but the next legend breaks it down differently, focusing on what's missing from the music itself, the reason so many albums fade fast. LL Cool J Todd Smith, the man who brought swagger and sensitivity to rap, burst onto the scene in 1985 as a teenage phenom signed to Def Jam. His debut, Radio, fused raw battle rhymes with smooth hooks, and I Need Love proved rap could be romantic. Across 4 decades, he's earned 2 Grammys, 14 top 10 albums, a Kennedy Center honor, and conquered film and television with NCIS, Los Angeles. At 57, LL remains living proof that hip-hop longevity is possible. But in his 2024 return album, The Force, and in recent interviews, he's made his concern clear: modern rap feels hollow. Too focused on flexing, not enough on truth. Hip-hop, once the voice of struggle, now sounds detached from everyday people. LL's approach, though, isn't just criticism, it's restoration.
See, a lot of these dudes, they sit around complaining about shit all day, man. It's just like, I'm not doing that. Listen, man, we're not gonna sit around the dinner table hungry when I can go out in the woods and figure some shit out. I'm not gonna sit around hungry complaining with my ribs touching, on no level.
In a series of interviews during late 2024, LL Cool J broke down exactly what's missing from today's rap: great songwriting. Speaking to the New York Times, he made it clear that there's nothing wrong with rapping about money or sex. He's celebrated both himself. But an album needs more than that to captivate people and hold their attention. LL's classics balance toughness with tenderness, giving fans raw honesty and emotion behind the confidence. Now, he says, too many albums are just endless flexing. No heart, no story. He also lamented how hip-hop stopped being underdog music. It once gave a voice to the voiceless, but somewhere along the way, it turned elitist. Rappers flaunt wealth as if they're above the people they came from, which betrays the culture's roots. That black CNN quality, where hip-hop reported real life from the streets, has all but vanished by 2025. LL keeps urging the next generation to bring back real songwriting and substance, not just surface-level showboating. His take on the loss of storytelling and authenticity exposes hip-hop's creative void. But the next legend takes it further, calling out how modern rappers don't just lack truth, they fabricate entire lives. T.I., Clifford Joseph Harris Jr., the self-proclaimed king of the South, rose from Atlanta's Bankhead neighborhood in the early 2000s, shaping the entire trap movement with trap music and urban legend. Over 14 albums, 5 number ones, and 3 Grammys, he evolved from gritty realism to reflection, while running Grand Hustle Records and starring in films. Now 45, T.I. stands as trap's elder statesman, proud, but frustrated. He believes modern rap abandoned truth for fantasy. Artists no longer tell stories of what they lived, they rap about what they wish they had. And in doing so, T.I. says, they've stripped trap of its power. What worries him most is the mindset of young artists entering the game today.
The cats who want it right now, then they go and do their publishing deal, they get a bag. They get a record deal, they get a bag, and if they're lucky, then by the time they spend all their money, they got a song to catch. And if they're lucky, then they find another way by the time that money run out to get some more money.
In early 2024, during an appearance on the Earn Your Leisure podcast, T.I. broke down exactly what's wrong with today's rappers. They don't have real stories to tell. Instead of describing lived experiences, they rap about what they hope to do tomorrow or what they wish they'd done yesterday. True trap music, he explained, was born from survival, from evading raids, losing friends, and pushing through poverty. That pain gave it power. Without it, the lyrics are just empty noise. Ty contrasted this with his early days making Rubber Band Man, inspired by his mother's financial struggles and his own near-fatal hustling. Today's artists, he says, boast about blocks and Bentleys they never owned, chains that came without consequence. In a June 2024 Billboard Roundtable, he went further, accusing rappers of sounding like they're reading from algorithmic scripts, talking about buying the block but never about losing it to snitches or betrayal. To him, trap died the moment artists stopped rapping scars and started selling simulations. Empty stories built for streams, not truth. T.I.'s anger at the rise of fantasy rap reveals hip-hop's hollow core. But the next legend doesn't just see dishonesty, he sees treason. KRS-One. Lawrence Parker, better known as The Teacher, ignited the conscious rap movement in 1986 with Boogie Down Productions, using Criminal Minded to mix hard reality with social commentary. Across 4 decades and 30 albums, he's become rap's philosopher, founding the temple of hip-hop to protect its cultural integrity. Now 60, KRS-One remains a fiery voice, authoring the Tao of hip-hop and even collaborating with Nas in 2024. But lately, he's been on a public crusade, blasting what he calls the total betrayal of hip-hop's essence. From stages to social media, he's unapologetic. Today's rap, he says, is a disgrace to the art form built from the Bronx's broken streets. And in his view, the modern generation has lost the one thing that made hip-hop sacred in the first place.
Actually, when it comes down to rap, I think that a lot of people are, they're concentrating on rap and they're not concentrating on hip-hop. Hip-hop is a culture, a way of life, a way of thinking. Rap is, should I say, a deviation of that, or should I say a mutilation of that.
At the Hip Hop 50 Summit in Atlanta, January 2024, KRS-One took the stage to deliver a speech about preserving hip-hop's essence, and it turned into a searing indictment of the entire modern scene. What people call hip-hop today, he said, is an absolute betrayal, a disrespect, and a disgrace. He reminded the crowd that the movement was born in the Bronx as knowledge reigned supreme, the true meaning behind his name, KRS. Not cash, not clout. He accused today's rappers of trading truth for trinkets, turning a sacred storytelling culture into mindless gossip. KRS broke it down into 3 cancers. First, materialism. Artists boasting about Bentleys instead of blueprinting black liberation. Second, imitation. Everyone chasing algorithmic templates. And third, corporate control. Companies pushing shock value over enlightenment. What once was poetry from the projects, a weapon against oppression, has become background noise for the privileged, stripped of its mission. Through 2024, KRS kept repeating that warning. On NPR in April, he said hip-hop was hijacked by the very system it rose to challenge. Corporations took the culture, gutted its soul, and sold it back as profit. He contrasted his era, sampling James Brown to uplift, with today's generation sampling spreadsheets, not spirit. To him, rap has become a mutilation of hip-hop's true form, obsessed with money over meaning. His words were sharp, but the next legend goes further, exposing who actually profits from that destruction. Scarface. Brad Turen Jordan, Houston's dark poet from the Fifth Ward, emerged in the late 80s shaping Southern rap through brutal honesty about pain, death, and survival. With The Diary, The Ghetto Boys, and decades of truth-telling, he earned 3 Grammy nominations and a place in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now 54, sober and rebuilt after 2021 liver transplant, he mentors Houston's next generation while preserving the city's legacy. But these days, Scarface is furious, claiming hip-hop's been taken, twisted, and dumbed down by outsiders. He calls out the white executives and tech giants running the game, getting rich off black pain while the artists see scraps. And now, he's got a warning for every young rapper chasing fame inside that machine.
Opportunity for the world to hear your passion or hear your talents, man. By all means, make the move, man. Right. Make it to where the world can hear you and appreciate what you do, but just make sure you're being compensated.
In April 2024, on Drink Champs, Scarface unleashed one of his most explosive rants yet, claiming hip-hop is under attack from the inside out. People who don't look like us, he said, meaning white executives, have dumbed the culture down so bad, it's not even the same anymore. Not everyone has talent, but the industry still promotes them because they're easy to control. He blames streaming giants like Spotify and Apple Music for hijacking the culture they never built, now dictating who gets heard, who gets paid, and what kind of music trends. These platforms turned hip-hop into a digital plantation, where artists earn pennies while corporations rake in millions. For Scarface, who already lived through exploitative Ghetto Boys contracts in the 90s, this new system feels even worse. Algorithms reward empty content and bury meaningful voices, pushing aside storytellers like him who once gave the world mind playing tricks on me. His frustration hit its peak in August 2025 on Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharpe, when he admitted he's done caring about the music business altogether. Beneath that bitterness lies the real wound: racial inequality in contracts. He talked about comparing Beastie Boys deals to Ghetto Boys, or Mazes to Van Halen's, exposing the enormous pay gap between white and black acts. Streaming only widened that divide, keeping the money while tossing crumbs to the creators. Scarface's fury over white gatekeepers diluting hip-hop and exploiting black artists is raw and damning. But the next legend brings a different energy, one rooted in reflection rather than rage. Nasir Jones, better known as Nas, redefined rap lyricism with Illmatic in 1994, painting Queensbridge life like poetry on film. Over 17 albums, from It Was Written to the King's Disease trilogy, he chronicled Black America's struggle and brilliance. Now 52, with 18 Grammys, a Kennedy Center honor, and his mass appeal empire, Nas remains a living bridge between eras. In 2025, he's still pushing, launching Legend Has It and dropping verses critics call timeless. Looking back at his 2006 album Hip Hop Is Dead, Nas now admits the truth isn't that simple. The culture, he says, is both alive and wounded, sustained by artists like Kendrick Lamar, yet suffocating under the weight of viral trends and TikTok superficiality. For Nas, hip-hop still breathes, but it's gasping for something it once had and lost.
And today it's kind of lost integrity, it's lost its meaning, It's lost its love, which is why I made a Hip Hop is Dead.
In March 2025, Nas told The Source that he used to say, "Hip hop is dead," and in some ways, it still is. But this year's been incredible. He highlighted Kendrick Lamar's domination with Not Like Us and Clip's long-awaited return after 16 years. Both reminders that real artistry can still break through the noise. But the problem, Nas said, is saturation. Too much music drops too fast, and listeners' attention spans have shrunk to seconds. That's why hype now replaces heritage. Nas called it an implosion. Too much, too soon, with no time for anything to truly matter. He contrasted Illmatic, written at 19 and perfected through patience, with today's TikTok generation, where hooks outweigh heart and authenticity is auctioned off to algorithms. By July 2025, in an interview with Complex, Nas mapped out hip-hop's timeline decade by decade. The 1990s built legacies through lyrical mastery, the 2000s still chased sales but preserved soul, the 2010s turned rap into a runway of image over impact, and the 2020s drowned in viral trends that disguised emptiness as evolution. The biggest sin, he said, is clout chasing, artists dropping TikTok singles, name-dropping Tupac or Biggie for quick engagement, then vanishing as fast as they came. True greatness never needed gimmicks. That's why Nas continues using mass appeal records to protect the foundation, nurturing truth, lyricism, and longevity. Hip-hop isn't dead. It's just searching for its pulse. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click one of the cards on your screen to explore more stories like this one.